What I learned today was not something new, it was something I had forgotten about myself, and strangely enough, I needed a day like today to remember it. You know those moments where something shifts internally, not a dramatic life-changing moment, just a quiet recalibration. The kind where you suddenly recognize something about yourself that had slowly faded into the background. Today was one of those days. I had the opportunity to watch someone work through a problem at a level that genuinely impressed me. The kind of thinking where you can almost see the gears turning in a different dimension. They were not just solving the immediate problem. They were seeing the structure behind it, the patterns, the dependencies, the deeper system underneath the system. And sitting there watching that unfold triggered something in me, not envy, not intimidation, something closer to admiration mixed with reflection. Because moments like that quietly force you to ask yourself a question: where am I on my own journey? And what I realized today is something that I think many of us who work in complex fields eventually experience. I might know a lot about a lot of things. Years of curiosity will do that to you. You collect knowledge across systems, technologies, ideas, and disciplines. You build a mental toolbox that gets bigger and bigger over time. But curiosity is a strange engine. It never really turns off. And when I saw that level of thinking today, I felt something that reminded me who I actually am at my core. I am not someone who shies away from learning something new. If anything, I tend to go all in. That realization surprised me a little because somewhere along the way I had drifted into a comfortable rhythm. Experience had made things easier. Patterns became familiar. Problems started looking similar, and comfort slowly settled in. There's a phrase I have always liked: you should be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But the strange thing about comfort is that it creeps in quietly. It does not announce itself. It slowly replaces that restless curiosity that used to push you to explore new territory. And today reminded me of something important. Sometimes we become too comfortable, not lazy, not stagnant, just comfortable. And when that happens, it becomes easy to convince ourselves that we are still pushing as hard as we used to, that we are still exploring the edges of our capability. But every now and then life hands you a moment that breaks that illusion. A conversation, a person, a demonstration of skill that expands the horizon again, and that is exactly what today did for me. It reminded me that the feeling of being slightly out of my depth is actually one of the most energizing states I know. That feeling where your brain lights up because there's something new to understand. Psychologists studying curiosity describe it as a kind of cognitive hunger. The brain is wired to seek out gaps in knowledge and then experience a reward when those gaps begin to close. That hunger is one of the most powerful learning engines we have, and when I reflected on today, I realized something else. My curiosity has not gone anywhere. It was just waiting for the right spark. Watching someone operate at a higher level did not make me feel inadequate. If anything, it reminded me how much I enjoy stepping into new territory and figuring things out. It reminded me that if I decided to dive into a completely new skill set, I would not approach it cautiously. I would go all in. That has always been the pattern, and somehow I had forgotten that. Philosophers have talked about this cycle for centuries. Growth requires stepping outside the comfortable perimeter of what we already know. The moment we stop doing that, our world slowly shrinks to the boundaries of our existing knowledge. But when we step back into that uncomfortable space again, something interesting happens. Energy returns, perspective returns, motivation returns. And that is exactly how today felt. Not exhausting, not discouraging, the opposite. Today was an absolutely great day. It reminded me why I enjoy learning in the first place. It reminded me that there are still deeper layers to explore and new mountains to climb. More than anything, it reminded me that curiosity is still very much alive. And walking away from that realization, I felt something I had not felt in a while. My soul felt recharged. Not because I had all the answers, but because I remembered that I still love the journey of finding them.